gonna get shots today. Nice now. Oh, yes. Good morning. Good morning. I sure am. I sure am. Well, thank you everyone for coming to the Wells Built Museum. I am going to give you some information and then you're just going to walk around. This building we're actually standing in was the very first Black-owned and operated hotel. Wow. Opened its doors in 1929. This is a two-story building. This bottom half where we are was actually storefronts. And the gentleman, that's a portrait of Dr. William, oh, be careful, my dear, Monroe Wells, who moved to what was called Black Orlando in 1917. So some of you may notice the street here is called Division Street, right here on the corner. That was actually the dividing street. So you have Black Orlando on one side and then White Orlando on the other side. Now they did say some people had discrepancies about where Division Street actually sat. I get it, but the roads was dirt as well. So until you had a new vision, started maneuvering and aligning things, it kind of shifted over a little bit. But we're within walking distance of the railroad lines, and that was another indication of dividing your Black Orlando and White Orlando or wherever you were. Now, Dr. Wells moved to Black Orlando in 1917. He had just graduated from Meharry Medical College in Tennessee. So at this time, it's general practice. Penicillin does not exist. So your herbal, natural medicines that was created and passed down generationally wise was used. Black Orlando actually didn't get its first black doctor until 1908. So for the first 13 years, you would have relied on what was passed down, the knowledge of the midwives, and now you have a doctor. But there's no hospital where everybody went to, so your doctor is actually coming, to where you are. And then in 1918, the world experienced the influenza epidemic, or what they call the Spanish flu. Dr. Wells' idea to build the hotel, that stemmed from, you had a lot of blacks traveling for work or seeking work from the north to the south and vice versa, and lodging was a very big issue. Because a lot of times, they were coming across those sundown towns. We are familiar with the sundown towns, yes, yeah. So we know they're not going to find lodging there. And Dr. Wells started the process to build. He started in 1926. It took 3 years because he had to self-finance. And then once it was completed, it was called the Wells Built Hotel, named after Dr. Wells. The hotel rooms was actually on the second floor, and there were 20. Today, what I do with those rooms is I actually rent them out as office space. So they're mini micro offices, and that supplies an income stream for the museum. We have about, I think, 4 of the rooms I use for a lot of our overstock. 12 I actually utilize and rent out. So when you guys got off the bus, you would have noticed the 2-story house that's sitting there. Well, before we moved Dr. Wells and his wife's home there, what sat there was a South Street Casino. So that was the dance hall, or the juke joint. And that is where Ray Charles and Ella Fitzgerald and all the big bands, when they was traveling the South along the Chitlin Circuit, would have performed inside this building. And I just have a picture because it actually caught fire in 1987. So the whole South Street Casino was torn down. And we were able to have a spot before Dr. Wells' home was torn down and moved it right next door to us. Both properties are registered on the National Historical Registry. We are in the process of restoring Dr. Wells' home, and it'll be an extended part of the museum once it's completed. We just waiting on one more final piece, and then my contractors can go in and start the process of actually restoring it.